Yo, welcome. We've got a technical one for you today. Whoa, here we go. We're talking about Wi-Fi sensing, or WLAN sensing, WLAN. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it or not. But let's go over it. Wi-Fi sensing and WLAN sensing. We're going to use that as the umbrella term, now used in standard work for using ordinary Wi-Fi radios as sensors. So range, motion, angle, velocity, presence. The IEEE ratified 802.11 BF Wi-Fi sensing. That's what formalized this concept. Device-free localization, locating and tracking people who are not carrying a tag or device. Wi-Fi is one RF modality used for DFL, device-free localization. Radio tomographic imaging, aka wireless/radio tomography, reconstruction. Reconstructing coarse images of a space from signal changes across a mesh of radios, often used with Wi-Fi class links. Passive Wi-Fi radar that doesn't transmit. It harvests ambient Wi-Fi transmissions and looks for Doppler phase changes from reflections off people and objects. How Wi-Fi imaging sensing actually works. Multiple Wi-Fi nodes around a room watch received signal strength between each pair. A person absorbs or deflects RF along some links, so solving the inverse problem yields a coarse map, a radio tomography that shows where people are, sometimes with track history. Resolution is room scale, not face level. Channel state information. Commodity chipsets expose pre-subcarrier amplitude/phase that's far richer than RSSI, received signal strength. From CSI, channel state information, that's time series, system detect breathing, gestures, identity, human pose, etc. Passive Wi-Fi radar use two antennas. One references the AP's direct signal, the other watches reflections. Doppler shifts reveal motion behind walls. With processing, you can track people and sometimes infer activity. So that's all very technical. It's a little bit over my head. There's a few other examples that I was able to pull up as well, but again, very technical. But the short of it is the Wi-Fi, like how I would explain this as a, dumb, silly Billy person. I would explain it as like using echolocation. The Wi-Fi signals are being shot out and then reflect off of you or a person or an object, and then you're able to notice the signal changes around the person because of the way that it's like reflecting off of you. And then you're able to kind of construct a presence, like a rudimentary like image of like there's a person there, so you can kind of identify things based off of what's reflecting the magic Wi-Fi waves off of you. Like that's how I would think of it, as like an echolocation, but instead of noise waves, it's Wi-Fi magic waves. So there's my silly Billy way of understanding it. So it has like through wall detection with commodity Wi-Fi. MIT was able to show moving target detection behind walls, and then also demonstrated like understanding of breathing or heart rate and coarse shape capture from the far side of walls. University College London built a passive system tracking people through 30-centimeter brick by mining ambient Wi-Fi. But the short of it is, I mean, you don't get camera-like pictures from a normal router. They yield coarse blobs or heat maps or inferred skeleton/poses. Cannot show faces or readable text. They're sensitive to clutter and motion, wall materials, placement of the nodes, and need for training to get like baseline measurements. And all of the flashy like demos are usually lab controlled, so if you see this, it's usually in a closed environment that they're able to get like the best looking images. If you're looking at these like, you know, Wi-Fi image generations that they're showing us now. I wanted to know if law enforcement has used this, and there's documented police use of through-the-wall radar, not exactly Wi-Fi sensing, but they have a handheld Doppler radar that U.S. Marshals and FBI, some local police have as well. That all came out in like 2015, and it detects motion, can even detect breathing through walls of around 50 feet, but that does not render images. There was a Supreme Court case about this, where the Supreme Court held that using tech to glean interior of home details is a Fourth Amendment search requiring a warrant. So that's good. They still have to have a warrant to do this to you, I guess. I was not able to find a publicly documented case where U.S. law enforcement operationally used Wi-Fi sensing in an arrest or raid. So I think you can still I think we can still kind of, at least in terms of the mainstream understanding of this stuff, Wi-Fi based imaging remains probably a research or industrial phenomenon, rather than like it's not a disclosed policing tool yet, at least. Like it's not in the public record that it's being used by the police, but they do have that similar technology, like that Doppler radar thing. Which is strange because smart home security is starting to, in the smart home security sort of sector, they're starting to push this out, like basically commercially, I think, where anyone can get this as a add-on. This is a service that you can purchase for yourself, that you can start mapping your house for security using your Wi-Fi. Probably be useful too in the case of like a sort of I've fallen and I can't get up scenario. You know, an elderly person falls, or you want to monitor your pet or something. Could be useful for all sorts of things like that. I think there's talks about using it in vehicles, so that you can have like an in-vehicle child presence detection. So using Wi-Fi reflections. And I guess there was a commercial announcement from Origin AI and some company called Murata. MIT in 2013 came out with something called WiFi, W-I-VI, and that was the through-the-wall moving target detection using Wi-Fi. And then passive Wi-Fi radar, that was that UCL thing that came out in 2012. It was able to track people through thick walls using ambient Wi-Fi. Very important, yeah, agencies using any see into the home tech generally need a warrant. That logic would likely apply to Wi-Fi sensing if it was used like a through-wall radar. So I guess the two ways that you would refer to this is Wi-Fi sensing and passive Wi-Fi radar. And as of now, our understanding is that it creates coarse radio heat maps or inferred skeletons/poses. so you're not getting camera-like pictures, which, of course, if you've seen, you obviously, like, you see, like, what it's capable of. And then the real deployments are in smart homes, security, elder care, and automotive. So just to reiterate and explain this and how it would work. Image Wi-Fi signals like invisible light beams crisscrossing a room. When a person moves through those beams, they block or scatter them slightly, much like a shadow. By measuring those tiny signal changes between pairs of Wi-Fi nodes scattered around an area, you can infer where movement or presence is happening. So if someone like walks between two nodes, emitting like the Wi-Fi, the signal weakens or shifts, and then that creates like a clue or, you know, kind of a thing to build an image off of. Using algorithms, you use those clues and then you mathematically merge them to create a low resolution heat map. So basically it would be, you just place multiple Wi-Fi devices around a target area. They continuously send signals and monitor signal strength between them. When a person or object moves through the area, they disrupt those signals. Algorithms then can stitch up those disruptions into a heat map. And then you can deduce maybe like room occupancy, fall detection, people tracking, anything that you could do like when you see like basically like a infrared like heat map image of an area, anything that you can kind of understand from an image like that, you're able to understand with this Wi-Fi technology. And then of course it's proper applications after that. So what prompted this video, or just outlining this, I just wanted to check in and make sure that it was real, because people have been talking about this. I mean, I use the term schizo endearingly, but the schizo community has kind of been talking about this, and now they're talking about how they have been talking about this. And the reaction in years past is that that's crazy, that that's not real, this isn't real, this doesn't exist, this stuff is completely bogus and isn't something that exists at all. But now it's just a fact of reality. It's becoming commercially available, and so people in like kind of this more schizo area of culture, or on the schizo internet scene, is always upset when something that they have been saying for years becomes true, and everyone just waves it off. Like, no, there's no kudos given for calling it. The big meme, the Alex Jones was right, money jar. Ooh, that's overflowing, right? That sort of dynamic is what was prompting me to look into this, because like the meme right now is, look, we called this, and yet again, this is another thing where we feel that we called this, but no one listened to us then, and now it's like no big deal. And the fact that it's crazy to say it is a big deal, and that it does exist, and that we said that this existed in the past, there's just no acknowledgement of that, I guess, and so some people are frustrated about it. But that's my thoughts on Wi-Fi sensing, or passive Wi-Fi radar. Thank you.